At this point in time, our church has a number of initiatives in cooperation with Wakefield. We have a food pantry. We do a program called Give a Kid a Chance, where we donate, all people in the congregation donate money for backpacks that are filled with basic things to start school. We have also done Christmas gifts for 200 of the neediest families at Wakefield. Again, volunteers in our congregation doing that. All these things were not in place when we started tutoring. I think at that point in time in 2009, we did the Christmas gift for the 200 families. In 2009, one of our church members, a retired elementary school principal for the Little Rock School District, wanted to begin a reading tutoring program at Wakefield. I bet there were maybe only 5 tutors, and they worked with the principal there and the reading and literacy specialist to have these tutors work with selected children, many of whom in that student population have reading deficits. A key to this first success was the fact that the principal at Wakefield in 2009 is still the principal at Wakefield. And the longevity of his ability to administer volunteers has been wonderful. Tutors meet with their students. They may have 1, 2, or 3, depending on the tutor's time that they can spend in the school, 1 day a week, every week, and they are placed with whatever grade level they prefer to work with. Originally, we worked with 3rd through 5th grade. Currently, we work with kindergarten through 5th grade age levels. We have gone from 5 tutors to 42 tutors when we had to stop because of the pandemic. When we started, tutors to tutor sat either out in the hallway, in the library at school. The reading specialist had an office that had actually a reading corner, and if she weren't there, we could use that, or even the playground or the cafeteria. So tutors had to find a place that day where they could tutor. Since that time, over a dozen years now, we have a room of our own, a classroom at the school that is devoted to tutoring. We can have 6 to 7 tutors at different tables in a large room. We have materials, magnetized letters, small marker boards, erasable marker boards, all kinds of things. And it greatly enhances our ability to recruit tutors, to have a stable program. And what we do is go to the classroom, pick our student, walk them to our room, and have that time, 20 minutes, and then get them back to class. In recruitment, we discovered we needed to tell people they did not have to be a teacher or have been a teacher to be a reading tutor. Our reading specialist at Wakefield, with a couple of other teachers, orient us each fall as we're beginning to work. And they give us a profile of our student, the reading level, teacher, so on and so forth. And they give us information about materials that are appropriate for our children at different ages and different reading levels. The literacy specialist, the reading specialist, also stresses with all of us how the importance of and how to communicate with the student's classroom teacher. And this communication between the tutor, the classroom teacher, and the literacy specialist is key to making progress for each student. The team at school also keeps us up to date on calendar. When are their field trips? When are the holidays? When are the tests of the whole standardized testing time? So that tutors don't mistakenly go to school on a day when their student is not available due to one of these other activities. And this is another important thing as you are planning and recruiting your volunteers. If a well-organized school setting with the people from your church who are organizing your tutors, keeping communication, then your tutors trust this whole schedule and that their ministry is on stable ground. As we proceed in our tutoring, the literacy coach can give us tips, individual tips along the way. For example, when I first tutored with a Hispanic boy, I was encouraged that conversation and just speaking was important to literacy and could help fill in some vocabulary comprehension gaps, because the Hispanic boy could decode words, could read, but he did not have the same comprehensive understanding of that word because he was an English as second language learner. Further, I'd like to add that the mentoring, the relationship that you develop as a tutor with a student is strengthened at Wakefield, because if a child is enrolled again the next year, that tutor stays with that child. I have not seen my two students in a year and a half because of COVID. I had tutored one of them a year and a half prior to that, and the other a year prior to that. I sent them books as gifts for Christmas, as did many other tutors for their students. And they were delivered to the school, and the school saw to it that those children got their gifts because we miss them. My students graduate this year, the 5th grade, and they are not having a graduation, but I have sent them graduation gift books with a note, and I'm wishing them well in middle school. The principal a number of years ago started having a pizza party at the school for the tutors and the students to come together at lunch. And the students thought that was so cool to have lunch with us and greet us and this sort of thing. And it was at the end of the year. And we give them books as gifts at the end of the year, each of them a book. So that was a celebration that the principal and the school gave back to us. We grew so big that now they had to come to our church, and we did it in Wesley Hall. And for the students and the reading specialist said for them to have a field trip out of their neighborhood to come see where you are because you're important to them. And it was wonderful because they also got a trip into the sanctuary and, learned a little bit about our church. And then we went to Wesley Hall and we had all those children, and tutors in there together. And it was a big crowd. For some people who want to tutor reading, or simply to think of themselves as that parent or grandparent or aunt or uncle or someone who read, that's who read to me when I was a child, and I want to foster that love and confidence in another child. I want to be a reading tutor. Some people do not have a background of teaching. I was an artist in education before I certified to teach. I did creative dramatics. I did writing poetry with children. It came natural to me as a spiritual growth for me and for whatever child I was working with. It wasn't about grades and passing tests. Some people who don't come from my perspective want to come from our biblical underpinnings. And for us in our recruitment, we began to use, and it is Mark 10:14, let the little children come to me, do not hinder them, for the kingdom of God belongs to such as these. And if a child can't read and is not literate, they are hindered. And so that's our religious connection to why it's a ministry. And that means a lot to many people. So we draw the connection between literacy and language, the way people express themselves through writing, through talking, is important, not just for the grades, but for the spirit and the growth of every person. And it starts especially important at the level of childhood. At this point, we're invited back to school at Wakefield next September in person. And when we polled our tutors from last year, 20 of our tutors have already said, yes, I'll be there. We plan to recruit again and invite some new people to come in and join our program. I wish any church group well as you conceive, plan, find the school for your group, and begin to work with a reading and literacy training program. You will have many rewards, and I know it will reward the community in which you volunteer.